Spain, a land forged by conquest, culture, and faith. Its story begins in the shadows of ancient caves, where Iberians and Celts lived long before history was written. Then came the Romans, who called it Hispania, and built roads, cities, and laws that still echo today. But after Rome fell, the Visigoths ruled briefly before a storm crossed the sea. In 711, Muslim armies arrived, and Spain became Al-Andalus, a center of learning, art, and science where Muslims, Christians, and Jews coexisted. The great mosque of Córdoba rose beside ancient churches, and libraries overflowed with ideas centuries ahead of their time. Yet over 700 years, Christian kingdoms slowly reclaimed the land in a campaign known as the Reconquista, ending in 1492 when Granada fell, the same year that Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand sent Columbus west, launching Spain's empire. Gold and silver poured in from the Americas, and Spain became the most powerful empire in the world. But it came at a price: brutal conquests, forced conversions, and the Spanish Inquisition, silencing heresy in the name of faith. While artists like Velázquez and writers like Cervantes captured Spain's soul, corruption and war weakened the empire. In the 1800s, Napoleon invaded, and Spanish colonies in Latin America won their freedom. Then came civil wars, kings and coups, and finally in 1936, Spain exploded into civil war. Republicans fought fascists. Brothers turned on brothers. The war ended in dictatorship under General Franco, who ruled with an iron hand until his death in 1975. But out of that darkness, Spain chose democracy. A peaceful transition brought freedom back to the people. And by the 1990s, Spain had rejoined Europe, hosting the Olympics and redefining its identity. Today, it's a country where past and present walk side by side, where Roman aqueducts stand beside flamenco clubs, and Gaudi's unfinished cathedral still rises toward the sky. Spain is more than a nation. It's a living museum of civilization, pain, beauty, and survival. And its story is far from over. La Sagrada Familia, the unfinished cathedral. In 1883, a modest church was under slow construction in Barcelona. Then came Gaudi, and it would never be modest again. He abandoned all other projects. For 43 years, this became his life, his prayer, his obsession. La Sagrada Familia. Where others saw stone, Gaudi saw forest. Gothic form fused with organic life. Columns don't simply rise, they grow, like trees reaching for the heavens. The ceiling, a canopy. The windows, petals of glass catching light like leaves catch sun. Everything was nature. Spirals like nautilus shells, vines, seeds, stars, the geometry of creation, transformed into architecture. Gaudi didn't build a church. He built a story of the universe in 3 acts: nativity, birth, light, joy, passion, pain, sacrifice, betrayal, glory, redemption, resurrection, eternity. Every detail whispers a message. Every carving, every number, every shadow has meaning. The magic square, a numerical puzzle where every row, column, and diagonal equals 33, the age of Christ at his crucifixion. Nothing in this cathedral is random. It's a stone Bible, written in architecture. Gaudi knew he wouldn't see it finished. He famously said, "My client is not in a hurry." His client was God. In June 1926, while walking to Mass, Gaudi was struck by a tram. Dressed in rags, without ID, the visionary of Spain was mistaken for a beggar. 3 days later, he was gone. He was buried inside the cathedral he never completed, and for decades, the world mourned what might never be finished. But Sagrada Familia did not die with Gaudi. His vision survived in sketches, models, memory. Passed from architect to architect, generation to generation, a living masterpiece, still being born, and still whispering the dream of a man who believed that heaven could be built on earth. Casa Batlló, the Dragon's House. In 1904, Antoni Gaudi was handed an ordinary task: renovate a conventional building on one of Barcelona's finest boulevards. What he delivered was a legend. Locals called it Casa dels Ossos, the House of Bones. Its balconies resemble jawbones, its columns, femurs. The rooftop, a creature's spine, coiled in ceramic scales. But this wasn't horror. It was mythology made stone. Gaudi was telling a story older than Spain itself. The legend of St. George, slayer of dragons, defender of light. The roof became the dragon's back. The cross, a knight's sword, plunged into the beast. Victory captured in architecture. The walls shimmer with trencadís, broken tiles reborn in radiant mosaic. Nothing wasted. Even destruction became beauty in Gaudi's hands. Inside it feels alive, like stepping inside a coral reef or the belly of a beast. Gaudi banished straight lines. Everything curves, flows, breathes. He didn't just renovate, he resurrected the building, turning lifeless stone into a living fairy tale. For Gaudi, architecture wasn't function, it was faith, and Casa Batlló wasn't a home. It was a parable, sculpted in myth and fired in flame. In this house, history and fantasy blur, and Barcelona is never quite the same again. Modern Spain and democracy. General Francisco Franco ruled Spain with an iron fist for nearly 4 decades. But in 1975, he died, and against all odds, something miraculous happened. Spain chose democracy. A young king, Juan Carlos I, stunned the world. Instead of clinging to power, he gave it away. He led a peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. Censorship ended, elections returned, and Spain, long silenced, found its voice again. Art reawakened. Languages once banned, Catalan, Basque, Galician, came back to life. Flamenco danced in the streets once more. In 1992, the world watched as Spain hosted the Olympic Games in Barcelona, a symbol of rebirth. Spain had entered a new era. Today, it's a democracy, a proud member of the European Union, a leader in art, architecture, design, and the spirit of survival. Spain gave the world more than history. It gave us the guitar. It gave us Picasso, Dali, Gaudí. It gave us poetry in stone and passion in dance. Flamenco, tapas, paella, Moorish palaces, and Gothic cathedrals, a symphony of cultures carved across centuries. Spain taught us that faith can build cities, that ideas can sail across oceans, and that even after war, pain, and dictatorship, a nation can rise again. Pain is not just Spain's history, it's a mirror of what humanity can endure and what we can become. For Spain's story moved you, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What era of Spain's history fascinates you most?